faithfully delivering value by interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today, I'm interpreting the book Will Be Good for You. In your life, do you focus more on bad things or good things? Feel free to leave comments and share your thoughts. Everyone encounters good and bad things, but the impact of bad things is much stronger than good things. A single affair can ruin a marriage, but loyalty doesn't guarantee the relationship will last forever. Compared to positive reviews on rating sites, many people focus more on negative reviews. We remember our mistakes for a long time, but we often forget the right choices quickly. Overall, negative events and emotions have a stronger impact than positive ones. In other words, bad is stronger than good. Psychologists call this phenomenon negativity bias. It helps people stay alert and avoid harm, but sometimes it distorts perception, exaggerates threats, and leads to bad outcomes.
We amplify others' flaws and mistakes, causing unnecessary conflicts.
Some people make irrational decisions to avoid bad things. In the year after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, millions of Americans stopped flying and switched to driving, even though car accident risks were much higher than plane crashes. Researchers found that traffic deaths that year increased by 1,600 compared to normal years. Why is bad stronger than good? How can we overcome the harm of negativity bias? This is the topic explored in this book.
The book has two authors. One is American social psychologist Roy Baumeister, who focuses on research in willpower, self-fulfillment, and belonging.
His paper, Bad is Stronger Than Good, is cited in many psychological studies. The other author is John Tierney, a science columnist for the New York Times. They previously co-wrote the best-selling psychology book, Willpower, which Sally's Book Talk has covered. And the book we're discussing today, Will Be Good, has 10 chapters and 180,000 words. In the book, the authors analyze the manifestations and causes of negativity bias and provide advice on dealing with it using real-life examples. Harvard psychology professor and renowned thinker Steven Pinker praised the book as both creative and witty. Next, I'll break down the main content of the book into 3 parts. First, how powerful is negativity bias? Second, how to utilize it. Third, how to overcome the harm of negativity bias. Let's start with the first part. How powerful is negativity bias? It manifests in every aspect of life. Take the most common examples of family and workplace to see how destructive bad things can be. First, look at family dynamics. If you ask a couple why they chose each other, they might list strengths like being understanding, smart, fun, loyal, etc. These strengths are certainly valuable for maintaining the relationship.
But psychologists found negative emotions are far more destructive to marriage than the cohesion from positive emotions.
John Gottman, psychology professor at University of Washington, is an expert in marriage research. In one experiment, he invited couples to discuss life problems while measuring their pulse and physiological responses. But afterward, couples reviewed videos and reported emotions: stress, anger, feeling misunderstood, negative, or calmness and mutual understanding positive. 3 years later, Gottman revisited them and found negative emotions predicted marital outcomes better. More negativity meant more unhappiness. Positive emotions had minimal impact on marriage. Couples with high or average positivity had similar outcomes. This pattern extends to parenting. Yale psychologist Sandra Scar found poor parenting harms children, but responsible parenting doesn't necessarily boost intelligence. Children with low-educated, poor, or abusive parents tend to have lower IQs. But for children in above-average environments, IQ hardly relates to parenting style. Whether parents are middle-class or ultra-rich, moderately or highly successful in careers, or whether children attend good schools, none determine IQ. The authors argue IQ depends largely on genes, while environment determines whether genetic potential is fully expressed. Genes set the IQ ceiling, environment decides if it's reached. In harsh family environments, children receive fewer educational resources and face more life challenges. naturally unable to focus on developing their genetic potential. Their potential gets suppressed, but a normal level environment is sufficient to fully develop genetic potential. Beyond that, even with optimal parental conditions, children cannot surpass genetic limitations. Having covered family, let's now discuss the destructive power of bad things. In the workplace, for a team to excel beyond high skill levels, interpersonal relationships are crucial.
If team members look down on each other, frequently conflict, argue, or express pessimism, team performance plummets.
One study shows the most reliable predictor of team performance is the lowest score on personality tests. The authors call this worst performer the bad apple.
Bad apple traits include irresponsibility, constant complaining, sarcasm, insulting others, etc.
A bad apple drags down the entire team's performance. Former U.S. President Benjamin Franklin once said, "A rotten apple spoils the barrel." In one experiment, psychologists observed different teams during brainstorming sessions. Each team had 4 members, some all regular employees, others all bad apples, directly comparing bad apple teams. And regular employee teams generated more creative ideas. When mixing 2 bad apples with 2 regular employees, mixed teams performed no better than all bad apple teams.
This shows bad apple's strong negative effect. Equal numbers of regular employees couldn't counteract it.
Psychologists added regular employees until they outnumbered bad apples 4-1. Only then did performance normalize. Similarly, researchers found this ratio in other domains. Psychologists discovered that to maintain happy marriages, positive interactions must outnumber negative ones by at least 4-1. Positive interactions create goodwill, like praising a partner for helping with chores. Negative interactions include arguments, giving each other the silent treatment, etc. If positives outnumber negatives 2-3, 1, the relationship is mediocre and may not last. If positives and negatives are similar, both partners feel unhappy, have frequent conflicts, and likely will break up. In another survey, researchers asked people to rate whether their days were good or bad. The survey lasted 3 months. Results showed that with a 3-1 ratio of good to bad days, people felt neutral about the period. At a 4-1 ratio, people felt they had a pretty good time. Based on this data, the authors concluded that in emotions and relationships, bad things are at least 3 times more powerful than good. Thus, to outweigh bad effects, good things must outnumber bad by at least 4-1. The authors call this the 4-1 rule. Of course, this isn't a strict law, but an empirical observation. Many bad events are severe. If someone becomes paralyzed in a car crash, no amount of good news can quickly lift their spirits. But typically, we can apply the 4-1 rule to daily life. Whether at home or work, if you hurt someone once, you need 4 acts of kindness to make amends. To attract customers, positive reviews should reach at least 80%. Since negativity bias is so harmful, why does it exist? Biologists believe it's an evolutionary adaptation that boosts survival odds. In primitive societies, one serious mistake could erase all prior benefits and cause death. Those who avoided poisonous berries survived better than those who enjoyed tasting them. And missing a friend's kindness rarely kills, but ignoring an enemy's hatred is fatal. To survive, brains naturally prioritize threats. This focus is so ingrained that brains imagine threats even when none exist. In one experiment, participants identified threatening faces from a series.
As threatening faces became rarer, participants didn't reduce identifications. They mislabeled neutral faces as threatening.
Even when told threat frequency would decrease and offered rewards for accuracy, participants still misidentified neutral faces, showing brains are wired for better safe than sorry. Well, to summarize the first part, negativity bias exists in many areas involving negative emotions. It has a greater destructive power on marriage than the cohesive power of positive emotions, and a poor employee can ruin the entire team's performance. Generally speaking, bad things are 3 times more powerful than good things. Negativity bias is a result of evolutionary adaptation that makes people more alert and focused enhancing our survival probability. If utilized properly, it can also bring us good outcomes. Next, in the second part, we'll discuss how to leverage negativity bias. The book describes 2 ways to utilize negativity bias. The first way is to deliver effective criticism. Criticism is unwelcome. The criticizer feels annoying and the criticized feels rejected. But criticism is necessary. Through criticism, we can identify shortcomings and improve upon them. Many people start with a bunch of praise as a cushion before pointing out problems when criticizing. They believe praise can ease the pain of criticism, but in reality, it's the opposite. Due to negativity bias, people focus solely on the criticism, completely ignoring the prior praise. Moreover, hearing praise followed immediately by criticism creates a jarring contrast that actually causes more pain. How can we reduce the pain of criticism and make it easier for others to accept? The authors recommend a method that can be divided into 3 steps. First, start with brief positive feedback. If you start with criticism right away, it might scare people, making them feel worthless. But if spending too much time on praise is ineffective, the authors suggest starting with brief positive feedback and quickly moving to the main point. For example, when a boss discusses work efficiency issues with an employee, they could start by saying, "I think your performance this year has been good, and I look forward to seeing even better results." Well, one set might be, "No and no." Then, get straight to the point. The second step of effective criticism is to ask questions. When hearing external criticism, people often develop resistance. Some will deny it, others will argue, all of which hinder smooth conversation. The best way is to get the other person to admit that your criticism makes sense. For instance, if a boss thinks an employee needs to improve efficiency, instead of jumping to conclusions, they can first show the employee their completed task list and compare it with others' data. Also, the boss can ask the employee, "What areas do you think you can improve?" Most people have self-awareness about their performance. With objective data, they'll usually acknowledge their shortcomings. At this stage, the employee's resistance to criticism diminishes significantly. Then the boss can share their perspective and provide more specific criticism. But the boss shouldn't monopolize the conversation. They should still seek the employee's input. For example, "Do you think my perspective is valid? How do you plan to improve going forward?" Through questioning, employee and boss become problem-solving partners rather than adversaries. The third step of effective criticism is praise. Due to negativity bias, the brain becomes alert after criticism. Praise at this moment makes it more memorable. Praise isn't just about past performance. It expresses confidence and expectations, motivating positive action. Some worry praise might weaken criticism's impact. As mentioned earlier, bad things are at least 3 times more powerful than good. Since the boss's goal is addressing work issues, criticism dominates while praise remains minimal. Thus, the employee remembers criticism most, with praise just easing emotional acceptance. These 3 steps make criticism less painful, more acceptable, and more motivating for change. The second way to leverage negativity bias is using punishment to improve performance. Starting in the 1970s, America launched a self-esteem movement. It claimed high self-esteem brings excellence, advocating more praise and less punishment. The movement profoundly influenced many fields. In education, schools reduced emphasis on competition and grades to protect students' self-esteem. Grading standards relaxed significantly, no failing grades or grade retention. Some schools abolished grading entirely, a trend spanning elementary to college. In the 1960s, U.S. college students studied 40 hours weekly, mostly receiving C's. Now they study 27 hours, mostly getting A's, not from increased intelligence, but lax standards, as the movement failed to improve performance. Nowadays, students master less knowledge and learn more slowly. A 2011 study found that 1/3 of students showed no significant improvement in writing skills and critical thinking tests from freshman to senior year. The authors argue the self-esteem movement reversed causality. Not that high self-esteem causes excellence, but excellence builds self-esteem. Punishment is essential for excellence, while praise breeds complacency. Punishment's negative effect motivates people to focus on shortcomings, hone skills, and improve. Some U.S. schools have returned to competition-focused education with punishment to boost exam performance. Um, Success Academy exemplifies this approach. Success Academy is a network of 47 schools. These privately operated charter schools are concentrated in New York's poorest communities. Success Academy teachers grade strictly, rarely award A's, and most commonly give C's. After exams, class rankings display scores highest to lowest, failing students highlighted in red, top performers rewarded, slackers attend remedial classes. Students consistently failing face grade retention. Results are striking. In regular NYC public schools, under half pass state standardized exams. Yet, 95% of Success Academy students pass these exams, outperforming all New York public schools and ranking in the state's top 1%. Punishment's motivational power is potent. Even its appearance can boost performance. Chicago economist John List conducted a factory experiment with two incentive schemes to increase worker output. Plan 1 used bonuses. Workers' base pay remained unchanged. If workers increased output to meet targets, they earned an extra $80 weekly. Plan 2 used deductions first. Base pay was raised by $80 weekly. But if they failed to meet higher targets, $80 was deducted from their wages. These two approaches differ in form, but they're essentially the same. Meet higher targets to earn $80 more, otherwise keep original pay. Plan 2 is actually a reward disguised as punishment. Results show Plan 2 worked better. Punishment's negative effect motivated workers to boost output and avoid wage loss. All right, let's summarize the second part. To leverage negativity bias, we can make criticism less painful and more acceptable. Effective criticism starts with positive feedback, introduces critique through questions, and concludes with praise. We can also use punishment's negative effect to motivate better performance. Though negativity bias has benefits, it also creates problems. It distorts perception, making us exaggerate threats and make irrational choices. We're easily drawn to flaws while overlooking strengths. Now for part 3, overcoming the harms of negativity bias. The authors propose 3 main methods.
First, use rationality to eliminate exaggerated fears of bad outcomes.
The earlier airplane example illustrates this. After 9/11, people avoided imagined plane crashes by choosing cars which actually had higher accident rates, demonstrating negativity bias's cognitive distortion. When deciding, base choices on objective facts and rational cost-benefit analysis, not exaggerated fears. Don't wait until the last minute. If you're leaving tomorrow and only decide transport today, it's rushed and vulnerable to negativity bias. Plan ahead. Allow time to calmly weigh pros and cons, then stick to decisions without emotional interference. Second method, consult knowledgeable but impartial parties. Negativity bias only clouds personal decisions. After all, outcomes don't affect these advisors. Thus, a bystander perspective enables rational analysis and choices. For example, someone anxious about falling stock prices, unsure whether to sell or hold, could ask an experienced investor friend. Overcoming the harms of negativity bias. The second method is to have more good things than bad. Let's see how New York's Casablanca Hotel achieves more good than bad.
TripAdvisor is a famous U.S. travel site where people check hotel reviews before booking.
For over a decade, Casablanca ranked among NYC's top-rated hotels, often number 1.
Nearly 90% of its reviews are 5-star, with under 3% below 4-star. An exceptional achievement.
Some customers give 1 star for ridiculous reasons, like complaining about crowded surroundings. Others claim rooms have no windows, when windows are clearly present. These unreasonable reviews still cause real damage due to negativity bias. Studies show dissatisfied customers are more likely to share experiences online than satisfied ones. People also find negative reviews more credible than positive ones. Worse, negative reviews reduce others' desire to post positive feedback. People worry liking something others dislike means they lack discernment. Now, maintaining high ratings long term is challenging for renowned hotels like Casablanca. Its secret: using the peak end rule to maximize positive experiences while minimizing negatives.
The peak end rule states overall impressions depend most on peak moments and final experiences.
In one experiment, participants submerged hands in ice water for 60 seconds.
After a break, they repeated the process for 90 seconds.
But in the last 30 seconds, water temperature slightly increased.
Results showed most preferred the 90-second version over 60 seconds.
Though longer, it ended less painfully. Another study with kidney stone patients found peak pain and final pain levels impacted experience more than duration or average pain. Okay, now that we understand the peak end rule, back to Casablanca Hotel, it creates surprise moments to enhance peak experiences. During phone reservations, they don't just book rooms, they ask about your NYC visit, purpose, and special needs. When showing rooms to customers, waitstaff observe their reactions and report to the manager. If a customer seems unenthusiastic, the manager proactively calls to ask if they'd like to switch rooms. For customers with sleep issues, the hotel provides special pillows and earplugs. The hotel also seizes every opportunity to listen to customer feedback. The hotel lounge offers free snacks and coffee all day, and staff ask customers there about any dissatisfaction to address it promptly. To avoid negative experiences at checkout, Casablanca doesn't have mini bars in the rooms. A mini bar is a small fridge stocked with snacks and drinks. Many customers only realize at checkout that minibar usage incurs extra charges, leaving them very upset. Naturally, their ratings drop. Through these methods, during their stay at Casablanca, customers' peak experiences and final impressions are overwhelmingly positive, naturally leading to glowing reviews. Well, it will not come about. Even if picky customers leave bad reviews, the hotel responds in detail. For example, if a review complains about no windows, the hotel directs readers to room photos showing windows, making the customer seem unreasonable, not the hotel. So, overcoming the harms of negativity bias. The third method is focusing more on the positive and less on the negative, a psychological strategy opposite to negativity bias called the positivity effect by psychologists. No words are common sense. Psychologists note that while negativity bias is the brain's default, it weakens with age, leading older adults to show more positivity effects. Experiments show that when viewing faces, young people focus more on frowning or tense expressions, while older adults focus on smiling ones. Seeing surprised expressions, young people often interpret them as reactions to something bad, whereas older adults see pleasant surprises. Brain scans also reveal that emotional regions in older adults' brains react less to negative images and react more to positive images. In a German experiment, both middle-aged older adults and young people played a video game. Different in-game choices earned varying money, with wrong choices causing losses. Researchers scanned participants' brains. Results show that compared to money earned, young people focus more on money lost, easily dwelling on regret from wrong choices. In later rounds, young people take bigger risks to recover losses, making them more error-prone. Older adults focus on money won rather than regretting losses. Not only do they maintain happier moods, they calmly learn from experience and win more in later games. Why do older adults show the positivity effect? There are two main reasons. First, the immune system weakens with age. Negative emotions and stress further weaken immunity. For health reasons, reduced hormone production in older adults lowers negative emotions. Older men produce less testosterone, reducing aggression. Increased empathy. Older women's reduced estrogen lowers anxiety and boosts confidence. Thus, like negativity bias, the positivity effect aims to boost survival rates. Second, cognitive reason. Knowing life is finite, older adults seek positive experiences, prioritizing present enjoyment over long-term goals and focusing on life's beauty. However, Older adults aren't blindly optimistic. They still weigh negatives carefully when making important decisions. The positivity effect isn't exclusive to older adults. Psychologists found simple strategies let anyone cultivate it for greater happiness. The book offers practical suggestions. Here are 3 key tips. First, share good news. It has multiple benefits. Sharing reinforces positive memories, making them more vivid. Plus, enthusiastic reactions amplify our joy. Later recollections then bring even more pleasure. Second tip, cultivate gratitude. Studies link gratitude to lower anxiety, better health, and higher life satisfaction. When people count their blessings and feel grateful, they become kinder and sleep better. Cultivating gratitude is simple. You can write a weekly journal listing things or people you're grateful for, or write a letter to someone you appreciate, detailing their help and impact, and read it to them. And the third tip for gaining the positivity effect is to suspend judgment of others. This advice mainly targets marital relationships. In one study, psychologists performed brain scans on couples married over 20 years and assessed their marital satisfaction via questionnaires. Psychologists found that the most satisfied couples showed less activity in the prefrontal cortex when viewing their partner's photo. This is the brain region responsible for critical analysis, meaning these people are more forgiving of their partners, willing to overlook minor flaws.
Of course, this is provided the flaws are harmless and don't cause major issues.
If a partner's flaws are hard to ignore, we can try shifting perspective to find potential benefits.
For example, if a husband always overpacks for vacation, the wife might think, at least he won't forget anything, and she might use some items too.
If benefits can't be found, we can focus more on the partner's strengths, letting appreciation outweigh dislike for the flaws.
Well, to summarize part 3, there are 3 ways to overcome negativity bias. We can use rationality to eliminate exaggerated fears of bad outcomes.
Businesses can use the peak end rule to ensure good experiences outweigh bad, improving customer satisfaction. We can also learn from older adults by focusing more on the positive and less on the negative for a happier life. With that, we've nearly covered the book, Will Be Good. The authors believe negativity bias is an evolutionary result affecting everyone, but that doesn't mean we're powerless. We can study its principles and manifestations to harness it for positive ends. And by overcoming its harms, though bad is stronger than good with science, good will ultimately prevail. Oh, after listening to this episode, has your view on bad things changed?
Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section.
Well, that wraps up our interpretation of the book Will Be Good for you. Reading notes are below the audio. See you next time.